If you keep stacking theories over theories, they will end you up buried in the grave of knowledge. You can become a teacher very easily in your field, but nothing if you never implement it in real life. You only learn how to swim by swimming. You only learn how to ride a bicycle by riding one. And you can only build a business by building one. Theory before execution is the thing that can only help you pass your examination. To get any real use of it, first, you need to take implementable knowledge, and second, you need to execute that. Education is good, but the execution is necessary. It is so necessary that sometimes it becomes even more important than education itself. We live in a world where certificates, grades, marks, and ranks are appreciated like they are the only thing we are born for. Everybody today is enrolled in any kind of academic institution, no matter whether they know or not why they are there. Even after they know 100% that what they want to do has nothing to do with their marks or grades or certificates, still they can't do anything because of the domination of education in everyone's mind. It has succeeded in making us frightened that if you are not associated with us, you can never succeed in your life. Or if you want to succeed or change your family's situation, then the only way is us. Whenever we choose any path for our career, we are choosing a pain to suffer for. But knowing a lot prevents us from choosing them or from execution, because it lets us know how far we can go and we get to know our capabilities and all the hurdles. Knowing less at least lets you to execute things, and you end up crossing all the hurdles that you might have thought you would never be able to do. It takes you to the execution process, which is the first important thing. When you execute once, it becomes way easier for us to go to the next steps further and beat any hurdle or any issue coming our way. It is like you can never get to know the depth of the sea by staring at it from its shore. You need to go dive, and then only you will get to know about it. Academics are the place for every child who teaches them that stacking theories can make you successful, which is true, but works until you come into the practical world. It makes you successful when you are in your school or colleges. There you are given the lessons and you need to pass the exam from the questions that come from those lessons. If you passed, you succeeded. By doing the same for almost 15 years in their life, they become habitual of that, gaining knowledge and then appearing in exams and achieving success. They never get to know how to implement any of their knowledge in real life because they are never told the same. But real life doesn't work like how academics think it does. It does the complete opposite of what they teach. Practical life gives us pain, struggle, and takes exams first and then gives us lessons and learnings, unlike academics, which provide syllabus first and then take exams. It has increased the gap between learning and execution. Learning is easy, it takes no effort and works on curiosity. But if you don't know how to make use of that or how to make the arrangements of bread and butter from that or through them, it is of no use, because in the end, this is the only thing for which we all strive. Today we can say that humans have evolved a lot. Here we are seeing upgrades in almost every field, and despite that, there are few things that never stop reminding us and make us comprehend how dumb we are. Today the whole crowd are so united, missing a point collectively. You can take an example of scrolling. Almost 90% of the people who scroll mindlessly miss a point of why they are doing what they are doing. Everyone is rushing into the same path for their career without getting the point of why behind their respective choices. We endlessly keep consuming content while missing the point of doing the same. We go to college, learn stuff that has no use, complete assignments that no one sees or checks, and then stack theories over theories that take us nowhere. Here also, we miss a point. And if you try to figure out the point and then let the sediments get settled in your chaotic mind and think about the point of doing them, you will not get any satisfactory answer or convincing point to continue them. But you don't have any option other than them, so you choose to continue them. Understand that theories, education, or knowledge are the pieces of information, and they can be about anything. It is not like the one academics teach you is the only education. There are a lot more than that. There are education which are directly implementable also. Helps you in execution and helps you in making your life easier. When we educate ourselves, either it makes our life easier or makes us smart and helps us grow, which eventually makes our life easier and better. But here is a catch. It depends on what kind of education we are giving to ourselves, because every piece of information is a kind of education in itself, but in their respective field. So if you go out to become just knowledgeable, then it will never be enough and you can never get a complete one. But when you start educating yourself about things that directly help you in execution, that's the best way to educate yourself. And that's how it works. Most people get confused here. They think what they are taught in schools, colleges, and other academic institutions is the real education. But the reality is a bit different. The education we see there is just a part of education. And the problems even become bigger when one starts thinking that it is the only education. If you see a 9th grade or 10th grade students, what they are told? They are asked to focus on their studies. And you know what they are asked to study? Just limited to 5 to 6 subjects. That's it. My first question here is, are they enough? If you talk about educating students, then how do you assume that a 14-year-old, 15-year-old student needs knowledge of those 5 to 6 subjects only, and which is going to serve no purpose in his entire life other than passing board exams or continuing the academics? Indirectly, what the education system does is teach students a few things, ask students to master a subject, and replicate the same process to the next generation. This means passing your 9th, 10th, inter or graduation and then teaching the same to the next 9th or 10th students. What is happening here? Is it creating value anyway? It is just replicating the same thing again and bringing no value to the outside world other than academics. And the one who brings any value to the world also mostly comes from academics. But the difference they have is they focus on something more than what academics prescribe them to study. This tells us that A, the theories they give us have mostly no use if you want to create any real value other than creating robots. And B, academics take a lot of time giving you theories that will never help you in your real life. It helps. Maths will help you if you choose to take help of it, which means if you choose to do research on it or take certain fields which it requires directly. The industrial age builds academics on a larger scale and in a formal way. Before that, it existed too, but wherever it was necessary and not on the scale we see today. People found academics that time helpful because it gave them a way to come out of their poor condition by making them able to get jobs in industries, which led to the birth of a new class, which we see today as a middle class. At that time, people saw it as a way to be free from poverty. But little did they know that they were going to get trapped in a mindset they would never be free. Academics still do the same, helping people get jobs in the end. When the industrial age began, employment was at its peak. People who were from lower classes now earned more and got a better lifestyle than they had before. And all happened because of the academics who used to train them to operate machines. Then, when a new class was born, they needed schooling facilities because they found that if they prepared for that job at an earlier age, then they could get a better position at the end. So primary, middle and high schooling started happening on the larger scale we see today, which eventually builds our parents and the whole society's mindset to go to school, score well, get a degree, and then knock at the door of the job opportunities finally. In most people's lives, if you remove the job part, 99% will quit their school or college or any academics if they are enrolled in. We are still in that race because everyone is in that race. But the difference between today and yesterday is of an era. We are now living in the information age. Employment, education, and skills used to work a decade ago aren't going to work today. The type of education has completely changed. The need for a degree has shifted to the portfolio, proof of work, and experience. Skills that used to pay a lot back then, most of them don't even exist today, and they have been replaced by new ones. So the scenario has completely changed. You are living in a world that never stops changing, or you can say never stops evolving. So you can either go with the trend or strive for something that has disappeared already. Having a mindset of gaining abundant knowledge is a dangerous thing, especially if you don't know what to do with them. It also gives a good reason for procrastination, which you can call productive procrastination. You feel like productive and going ahead, but deep down what you are doing is you are just roaming around in the same place. The real knowledge comes from experience. If you keep the mindset of executing, you can still end up writing a book, which can be a pretty new one. But if you keep reading thousands of books, you can end up with not a single book that will have a new thing, because what you will be doing is just replicating whatever you have read so far. So if you have the idea, plan it. If you have the plan, execute it. If you have a strategy, you need to do A/B testing at least to know how it works. But without execution, you can do or get nothing. Theory only takes you this far, and the goal is here. The rest you need to cover alone just by executing things. The execution and education ratio should be 80-20. 80% of execution with 20% of education. Like, you want to acquire a skill. Let's say it is a video editing. If you want to learn it, there are two ways. A, learn it like things you get taught in your school and you will end up not being able to edit even a single video. And B, get to know the basic tools and start using them. In the first option, you will need to grab a lot of theories, which will give you nothing but a lot of theories that you can just pass on to your students who will also not be able to edit, but can only pass them to the next one. But in the second option, you will need just a little amount of theory, like knowing basic knowledge about the tools, and then the rest will depend upon your practice, which eventually ends up giving you a real skill. There you see how much theory you need, and the same applies to almost every field. Theories also do one more thing to us. It makes us know those things also which we should be knowing after completing previous processes. Like when you do video editing, means doing it on any software, you go step by step. At first you make transitions and animations manually. Then after you get to know about ready-made templates or extensions. And then you finally shift to automation process at a certain level. But when you come with a lot of theories, then you get to know about extensions and templates very earlier, which let you skip the manual process. Now, when you edit, then you still need some manual steps even after you are using templates. So that time you stuck, which shows that you are not as good as that person who practiced more than just gaining knowledge. It lets you skip the foundational, the basic things and the groundwork which really matter. Curiosity is good, which also becomes the reason for gaining knowledge. But in the end, again, if you don't know what to do, then first, what is the point? Second, you could have gained something helpful in your execution. The point here is theories without any firm purpose of implementing them do nothing more than filling the mind with crap. When you grab executable theories which help you save your time, go a step ahead in your career or the project you are working on, then only they are helpful and are supposed to be fed. When you are starting out something, means executing any of your ideas, it is unwise to bury yourself with knowledge and procrastinate endlessly. Instead, what should be done is executing, then figuring out the next step, and then the next. Books, podcasts, social media content, and articles have good knowledge, but only 1% applies to your situation. Start, act, execute. If you have any idea, plan it and execute it. Don't waste your time for a perfect start. First start and then learn for the next step and then go on. Most people think you learn and then you start, when in reality you start and then you learn. When you start, you get a clear objective and a compass pointing to an objective. And then when you learn, you get routes. But when you learn, you get a map but without a concrete objective. So it is important to have a compass pointing to a concrete objective rather than a map with no point. A good compass at least will take you where you need to go, and that compass is your purpose of gaining knowledge. When you gain knowledge more, you get a map, but because you don't know what to do or where to go, you just roam around. So the conclusion here is, come out from the world of gaining knowledge and start executing whatever you have. Enough for today. If you found this helpful, like this piece and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Bye bye.